Madness of Private Ortheris by Rudyard Kipling. My friends Mulvaney and Ortheris had gone on a shooting expedition for one day. Leroyd was still in the hospital recovering from a fever picked up in Burma, and they sent me an invitation to join them, and were generally paying when I brought beer, almost enough beer to satisfy 2 privates of the line, and me. "'Twasn't for that we bid you welcome, sir," said Mulvaney sulkily. "'Twas for the pleasure of your company." Ortheris came to the rescue. Well, he won't be none the worse for bringing liquor with him. We ain't a fall of dukes. We're bloomin' Tommies, you cantankerous Irishman, and here's to your very good health. We shot all the forenoon and killed 2 pariah dogs, 4 green parrots sitting, 1 kite by the burning gat, 1 snake flying, 1 mud turtle, and 8 crows. Game was plentiful. Then we sat down to tiffin, bullmate and bran bread, Mulvaney called it, by the side of the river, and took pot shots at the crocodiles in the intervals of cutting up the food with our only pocket knife. Then we drank up all the beer and threw the bottles in the water and fired at them. After that we eased belts and stretched ourselves on the warm sand and smoked. We were too lazy to continue shooting. Ortheris heaved a big sigh as he lay on his stomach with his head between his fists. Then he swore quietly into the blue sky. "For what's that for?" said Mulvaney. "Have you not drunk enough? Tottencourt Road and a gal I fancied there. What's the good of soldiering?" "Ortheris, me son," said Mulvaney hastily. "'Tis more likely you got trouble on your inside with the beer. I feel that way myself when me liver gets rusty." Ortheris went on slowly, not heeding the interruption. "I'm a Tommy. A bloomin' 8 and a dog-stealing Tommy with a number instead of a decent name. What's the good of me? Oh, if I'd stayed at home. I might have married that gal. Kept a little sharp in the Hammersmith eye. This Ortheris, pretty old taxidermist, with a stuffed fox like they have in the Hazelbury diaries. In the winter, a little case of blue and yellow glass eyes, and with little wife to call shop. When the doorbell rang, as it is, I'm only a Tommy. A bloomin' godforsaken beer-swilling Tommy. Rest your arms, rest, stand at ease, haste, shun, rest, arms, left and right, turn, slow march, out front, rest your arms, rest, with blank cartridge, load, and that's the end of me. He was quoting fragments from funeral parties' orders. "Stop it," shouted Mulvaney. "When you've fired into nothing as often as me over a better man than yourself, you'll not make a mock of them orders. 'Tis worse than whistling the dead march in the barracks, and you full as a tick, and the sun cool and all in all. I take shame for you. You're not better than a pagan. You and your foreign parties and your glass eyes. Won't you stop it, sir?" What could I do? Could I tell Ortheris anything that he did not know of the pleasures of his life? I was not a chaplain or a subaltern, and Ortheris had a right to speak as he thought fit. "Let him run, Mulvaney," I said. "It's the beer." "No, 'tisn't the beer," said Mulvaney, "for I know for what's coming. He's took this way now and again, and it's bad. It's bad, for I'm fond of the boy." Indeed, Mulvaney seemed needlessly anxious, but I knew that he looked after Ortheris in a fatherly way. Let me talk, said Ortheris dreamingly. "Do you stop your parrot screaming of a hot day when the cage is a-cooking his poor little pink toes off, Mulvaney?" "Pink toes? Do you mean to say you've pink toes under your bull's wool and your blandering?" Mulvaney gathered himself together for a terrific denunciation. Schoolmistress, pink toes. How much Bass would that label did that raven child drink? "'Tain't Bass," said Ortheris. "It's a bitterer beer and all that. It's homesickness." "Oh, hark to him. And he going home and the Sherpas in the inside of 4 months. I don't care. It's all one to me. How do you know I ain't afraid of dying before I get my discharge papers?" he recommenced in a sing-song voice the orders. I had never seen this side of Ortheris' character before, but evidently Mulvaney had, and attached serious importance to it. While Ortheris babbled with his head on his arms, Mulvaney whispered to me, "He's always took this way when he's a little bit checked over much by the childer they make the sergeants nowadays. That and having nothing to do, I can't make it out in any ways." "Well, what does it matter? Let him talk himself through." Ortheris began to sing a parody of the Ramron Corp, full of cheerful allusions to battle and murder and sudden death. He looked out across the river as he sang, and his face was quite strange to me. Mulvaney caught me by the elbow to ensure the attention. "Mather, it matters everything. 'Tis some sort of a fit that's on him. I seen it. 'Twill hound him all this night, and in the middle of it he'll have out his cot and he'll go wrecking on the rack for his accoutrements. Then he'll come over to me and say, 'I'm going to Bombay. Answer for me in the morning.' And then him and me'll fight as we've done before, and him to go and me to hold him, and then we'll so come back to on the books for disturbing in the barracks. I felted him and I broke his head and I've talked to him, but there's just no use when the fit's on him. He's as good a boy as ever stepped with his mind's clear. I know for what's coming through this night in the barracks. Lord send that he doesn't lose on me when I rise to knock him down. 'Tis that's in my mind day and night." This put the case in a much less pleasant light and fully accounted for Mulvaney's anxiety. He seemed to be trying to coax Ortheris out of the fit, for he shouted down the bank where the boy was lying, "Listen now, you with the pool pink toes and the glass eyes. Did you swim into your body at night behind me as a boy should? Or was you hiding under a bed as you were at Ahmed Clay?" This was at once a gross insult and a direct lie, and Mulvaney meant it to bring on the fight. But Ortheris seemed shut up in some sort of trance, and he answered slowly, without a sign of irritation, in the same cadence voice that he had used for his firing party orders. "I swum the Erotti in the night, as you know, for to take the town of Long Tongue Pen naked without fear. And where was I at the Armoured Kale, you know, and 4 bloomin' pythons know too, and that was something to do, and I didn't think of dying. But now I'm sick to go home. Go home, go home. No, I ain't mammy sick 'cause Martha brought me up. But I'm sick for London again. I'm sick for the sounds of her and the sights of her and the stinks of her. Orange peel and asphalt and gas coming in over the Vauxhall Bridge. Sick for the rail going down to the box and all your gal on your knee and the new clay pipe in your face. That and the Strand lights where you knows every one, and a copper that takes you up as an old friend that took you up before when you was a little smitchy boy, lying loose between the temple and the dark arches. No blooming guard mountain, no blooming rotten stone, no khaki, and yourself your own master, with a gal to take you to see the hummers practice and hawk and the dead corpses at the Serpentine on Sundays. And I left all that for to serve the widow beyond the seas, where there ain't no women and there ain't no liquor worth having and there ain't nothing to see, nor do, nor say, nor feel, nor think. Lord love you, Stanley Ortheris, but you're a bigger blooming fool than the rest of the regiment of Mulvaney White together. There's the widow sitting home with a gold crown on her head, and here I am, I, Stanley Ortheris, the widow's property, and a rotten fool. His voice rose at the end of the sentence, and he wound up with a six-shot Anglo-vernacular oath. Mulvaney said nothing, but looked at me as if he expected that I could bring peace to poor Ortheris's troubled brain. I remembered once in Rawalpindi having seen a man nearly mad with drink, sobered by me making a fool of. Some regiments may know what I mean. I hoped that we might slake off Ortheris's in the same way, though he was perfectly sober. So I said, "What's the use of grousing there and speaking against the widow?" "I didn't," said Ortheris. "Help me God, I never said a word again her, and I wouldn't, not if I was to desert this minute." Here was my opening. "Well, you meant to, anyhow. What's the use of cracking on for nothing? Would you slip it now if you had the chance?" "Only try me," said Ortheris, jumping to his feet as if he had been stung. Mulvaney jumped too. "For what are you gonna do?" said he. "Help Ortheris down to Bombay or Karachi, wherever he likes. You can report that he separated from you before tiffin and left his gun on the bank here." "I'm to report that, am I?" said Mulvaney slowly. "Very well. If Ortheris means to desert now, and will desert now, and you, sir, who have been a friend to me and to him, will help him to it, I, Terence Mulvaney, on my oath, which I never broke yet, will report you as you say. But here," he stepped up to Ortheris and shook the stock of the fowling piece in his face, "your fist help you, Stanley Ortheris, if I ever come across you again." "I don't care," said Ortheris. "I'm sick of this dog's life. Give me a chance. Don't playing with me. Let me go." "Strip," said I, "and change with me, and then I'll tell you what to do." I hoped that the absurdity of this would check Ortheris, but he had kicked off his ammunition boots and got rid of his tunic almost before I'd loosened my shirt collar. Mulvaney gripped me by the arm. "The fit's on him, the fit's working on him still. Bum honour and soul, we shall be accessory to a desertion yet. Only 28 days, as you say, sir, or 56, but think of the shame, and the black shame to him and me." I'd never seen Mulvaney so excited. But Ortheris was quite calm, and as soon as he had exchanged clothes with me and I stood up, a private in the line, he said shortly, "Now, come on. What's next? You mean fair? What do I do to get out of this here hell?" I told him that if he would wait for 2 or 3 hours near the river, I would ride to the station and come back with 100 rupees. He would, with that money in his pocket, walk to the nearest side station on the line about 5 miles away, and would there take a first-class ticket for Karachi. Knowing that he had no money on him when we went out shooting, his regiment would not immediately wire to the seaports, but would hunt for him in the native villages near the river. Further, no one would think of seeking a deserter in a first-class carriage. At Karachi, he was to buy white clothes and ship, if he could, on a cargo steamer. Here he broke in. If I helped him to Karachi, he would arrange all the rest. Then I ordered him to wait where he was until it was dark enough for me to ride into the station without my dress being noticed. Now, God in his wisdom has made the heart of the British soldier, who is very often an unlicked ruffian, as soft as the heart of a little child, in order that he may believe in and follow his officers into tight and nasty places. He does not so readily come to believe in a civilian, but when he does, he believes implicitly, like a dog. I had the honour of the friendship of Private Ortheris at intervals for more than 3 years, and we had dealt with each other as man by man. Consequently, he considered that all my words were true and not spoken lightly. Mulvaney and I left him in the high grass near the river bank and went away, still keeping to the high grass, towards my horse. The shirt scratched me horribly. We waited nearly 2 hours for the dust to fall and allow me to ride off. We spoke of Ortheris in whispers and strained our ears to catch any sound from the spot where it left him, but we heard nothing except the wind in the plume grass. "I broke his head," said Mulvaney earnestly. "Time and again I nearly killed him with the belt, and yet I can't knock them fits out of his soft head. No, and he's not soft, for he's reasonable and lightly by nature. For what is it? Is it his breeding, which is nothing, or his education, which he never got? You that think you know things, answer me that." But I found no answer. I was wondering how long Ortheris on the bank of the river would hold out, and whether I should be forced to help him to desert, as I had given my word. Just as the dusk shut down, and with a very heavy heart I was beginning to saddle up my horse, we heard wild shouts from the river. The devils had departed from Private Stanley Ortheris, number 22639 B Company. The loneliness, the dusk, and the waiting had driven them out, as I had hoped. We set off at the double and found him plunging about wildly through the grass with his coat off. My coat off, I mean, and he was calling for us like a madman. When we reached him, he was dripping with perspiration and trembling like a startled horse. We had great difficulty in soothing him. He complained that he was in civilian kit and wanted to tear my clothes off his body. I ordered him to strip, and we made a second exchange as quickly as possible. The rasp of his own greyback shirt and the squeak of his boots seemed to bring him to himself. He put his hands before his eyes and he said, "What was it? I ain't mad. I ain't sunstroke. And I've been gone and said, and I've been gone and done, and what have I been and done?" "For what have you done?" said Mulvaney. "You've disgraced yourself. Though that's no matter, but you've disgraced Company B, and worst of all, you've disgraced me. Me, that taught you how to walk abroad like a man when you was a dirty little fishback, little whimpering little recruity, as you are now, Stanley Ortheris." Ortheris said nothing for a while. Then he unslung his belt, heavy with the badges of 6 regiments that his own had laid with, and handed it over to Mulvaney. "I'm too little to mill with you, Mulvaney," said he. "You stroked me before, but you can take and cut me in two with this if you like." Mulvaney turned to me. "Leave me to talk to him, sir," said Mulvaney. I left, and on my way home I thought a good deal over Ortheris, but I could not come to any conclusions of any kind whatever. The end.